Welcome to another episode of Dreams Denied by James Karoga. To take you through is teacher Risper, a teacher of English and literature. Thank you for being my viewers. We want to go ahead and embark on the analysis of Act 2, Scene 2. But before we do, it has always been our norm to try and link it to our previous scene, to our previous episode. Now, in our previous episode, what exactly happened? In our previous episode, we saw that Governor Mwitu was complaining about his reputation that continued to get tarnished. He had hoped to reclaim his popularity through the children, but unfortunately for him, the children rejected him. And the children were his avenue to get through to the parents. The question becomes, the parents he was trying to get to regain his popularity and maybe salvage his votes, will he manage to get through to them? Will they act in the same manner their children acted, or will they be any different? Welcome to Act 2, Scene 2. Act 2, Scene 2 takes place at Freetown Market. We encounter two women, Atieno and Wamboi. Atieno and Wamboi, they should be viewed as representative of the common citizens. They can be viewed as representative of the business community. And how have the policies of Governor Mwitu affected the citizens or the business community becomes the key question. As the scene unfolds, we see that Wamboi and Atieno are engaged in a conversation, and in this conversation, what are they saying? What is the focus of their dialogue? We see that Atieno informs Wamboi that her family no longer consumes meat that is being sold in Carrara County. For them to consume meat in that family, the husband has to source meat from sources outside the county. And would you blame them? What with the county no longer inspecting meat? They are not screening meat. Therefore, the possibility of eating infected meat is quite high, and which is the wish of the governor. For his own reasons, he wants people to consume infected meat. To this issue, we see that Wamboi agrees with her friend Atieno, because she too says that no one will be eating infected meat willingly. So how do they avoid this? You avoid meat coming from Carrara County altogether. We see that the meat industry is bound to collapse if it has not collapsed already. When your targeted customers are no longer buying from you, we see there is an economic decline with the lack of sales. Apart from that, we remember that the governor had imposed taxes on the butchers and they were already complaining. Even in a previous episode, Mwaria had suggested that the policies they are putting in place might lead to the collapse of the meat industry. But the governor and his people seem not to care, as has been expressed through Ananias Kimbo, who said that even if the meat industry might collapse, they would still be getting better proteins from sources such as termites, grasshoppers, and that was very insensitive of him. It showed that these people do not have the care of the people in their hearts. They don't give any, they do not heed to the needs of their citizens. And true to the word, the meat industry is collapsing. What with the butcheries closing down as well as the slaughterhouses. As the citizens are regretting, it is also reminiscent of another citizen who was regretful. It reminds us of the farmer, Charo. Charo had regretted being one of the people that had voted this government into office. And these sentiments are shared by Wamboi, who regrets as well. We learn that Governor Mwitu is not free of blemish. He is someone whose corruption was known, but then people went ahead and voted him in. Do you remember that he had siphoned money meant for the construction of a dispensary? Here again, he is getting accused of another corrupt scandal whereby, as the chairperson of the cattle dips, before he became a governor, he used to extort people. How did he extort people? We are being told that he forced the owners of cows to pay more for acaricide that he had approved, and he used to claim that the acaricide was of better quality. That is page 33. This looks like an attempt to extort money from these people. The acaricide that he has approved should go for more money, and he claims that it is of better quality. That is an example of corruption, extortion. Atieno, being representative of the parents, we also see that she is regretful because the lunch program had been abolished, and this one will force the parents to dig deeper into their pockets to be able to provide this commodity. In fact, it is a basic need to their children. The burden has been shifted to the parents. They have to dig deeper into their pockets. And there was an issue about bad politics resulting to bad governance. It is emphasized over here, whereby they also admit to having taken bribes from Governor Mwitu's camp. They took the money. Now, the money that they took, the person they allowed to get into power is making them to suffer bad politics, leading to bad governance, has been emphasized. As much as the situation is bad, we see that Wamboi is expressing hope. With the masses are now getting informed. They're getting enlightened. The people that have taken it upon themselves to enlighten the masses are even making their way into the churches. They come on Sundays and they are given a forum in which they can educate the people on their rights and what they should expect of the government, what you're calling civic education. The people are getting informed. Now we also see that according to Wamboi, apart from gaining civic education according to Wamboi is good. It will be an avenue towards change that will bring better leaders in the future. But then, is the gaining of civic education enough? Apparently not. They are also supposed to be willing to vote wisely. Get educated and then use the information that you've gained to vote wisely next time, is what Wamboi says. She seems to have already become enlightened. She knows the correct path to use to gain in terms of governance. Another issue we see, as these two women are conversing, we get to learn that as the learners were asking for their right to be provided with food, we see that it is emphasized they were respectful. So when Governor Mwitu says that they were banging their metallic plates and cups as a sign of rejecting him, he must have been lying. The learners were respectful as they agitated for their right to be provided with lunch. And another thing that is suggested, civic education should start at a young age. And what would be the benefit of this? The benefit would be that the young ones will be able to elect better leaders and not repeat the mistake of their parents at a young age. How can civic education be disseminated, that information? It can be through making the children learn the qualities of a good leader. When they get to learn the qualities of a good leader, when they encounter a good leader, they'll be it will be easy for them to identify one. As they are still conversing, they spot a luxurious vehicle and they conclude that it belongs to Mr. Sibor. Mr. Sibor that they had once rejected, yet his policies could have led to the betterment of Carrara County. Mr. Sibor, they realize, even his children are learning abroad. They are studying abroad. Therefore, if at all he was fighting for reforms, if at all he was fighting for improvement in the education sector, it was to be for their benefit, because it is the children of the likes of Wamboi and Atieno that are learning in our local education system. The government is blamed for not stocking their health centers with medicine and also provision of farm inputs. This is what the citizens need, farm inputs. The citizens also need their hospitals to be well stocked with medicine, and not what Governor Mwitu is planning to traverse the county, as he is promising people that he will fulfill his promises that he should have already fulfilled by as far back as yesterday. And these two ladies, they seem to have gained from civic education, whereby they can even see the end goal of the politicians. The politicians want to maintain them in poverty so that these people can be dependent on them for handouts. That can be found on page 34. That the government wants to retain them in poverty so that they can continue worshipping them. A poor man is at the mercy of handouts. Therefore, whatever you tell them, they won't be reluctant to do it. They'll be very ready. And in such doing, they might just end up electing yet another bad leader. Atieno shares in the belief of Hassan. Hassan is a student of law at the University of famous City University. That is where Atieno's son studies. And because he is an educated person, he shares some of his beliefs with his mother, and his mother seems to buy into them. And that is how she is even able to share with her friend that the politicians want to retain them in poverty. According to Atieno's son, is that citizens need to become empowered to avoid manipulation. The same sentiments shared by Atieno. She must have learnt from the best. And we hear a lot of stories about politicians are regrouping, they're out there trying to educate the masses to empower them. Will they succeed? Becomes the question that forms the basis for our next chapter, when we shall be meeting later for our Act 2, Scene 3. We are about to meet the political class, the ones that want to take Governor Mwitu out of power. They want to oust him from power. And we want to see, will their strategies succeed? Up to this point, let's ponder on that, as I hope that you'll be joining me for the next one. It has been a pleasure. Thank you.